What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Motorfest. So I did finally manage to max out the plane category. My goodness, I have to admit, maxing out this class probably wasn't the worst one, which I would say is going to be pretty surprising with having power boats and even demolition derby vehicles in this game. But do stay tuned, guys, because I will be doing a video of how long it actually took me to get a chemist set for each one. Some of them, I'm not going to lie, was definitely an absolute insane amount of time, but obviously, going after a full chemist set for each class is definitely worth it. That way, if they do show up in a summit, which I would say they most likely will, you are going to be ready for any of those set events that do show up. Now, for me, I do obviously have a full chemist set here with Gateway and Pure. I will also be making a video going over these affixed stats for each class, and also like these special ones for every class as well, so do stay tuned for that. So I would say going after a set like that is going to be useful. Now, what's kind of insane though is I managed to get a loot digger set first, which I would say this only happened to me probably 2 to 3 times out of all of the classes. That is right, guys, I managed to get like a Skullbreaker or even like a Nitrochemist first, and of course I still do not have a loot digger on certain classes yet, so I guess it is most likely going to come down to RNG because I did also manage to get a Skullbreaker as well, so I would say it is probably going to be the amount of races you actually grind, but also the amount of time you actually put into a class to get those sets completed. Now, moving over to the planes here, guys, similar to the power boats, there's not going to be a lot of events you can actually grind out to go after maxed out sets for them. So obviously heading over to the activities here and going over to the lovely Ocean Sky playlist. This is going to be the main place you can actually find these said plane events to go after many of these said like maxed out part sets. So if you are looking to actually max out the planes, guys, you cannot do a lot of events similar to the power boats. So I guess you could say like the grind fatigue is definitely going to be there. I would definitely understand because I was kind of getting a bit frustrated with it, but I was like, you know what, eventually I'm most likely going to get these said part sets I actually want, so I might as well keep grinding it out and basically doing these events, even though at certain times I didn't even get any gold parts either, because I would say the like RNG in this game is kind of broken, but in the game, at least at the moment, there is not going to be a lot of plane events you can actually grind out, so you are basically going to be forced to do these said ones that are in the game. So, for example, we obviously have the Airwalker here. Do keep in mind some of these events literally take forever. So running a maxed out plane for this, you obviously can make well over 40,000 bucks and also 25,000 XP, which is I guess kind of helpful. But at the same time though, you are most likely not aiming at like the most money or even like the most XP possible. You are probably looking at trying to get the planes maxed out as quickly as you possibly can. So you are most likely not even looking at that, but most likely the time of that said event. So yeah, the Airwalker is going to be around 4.5 to 5 minutes to do. Maybe a little bit less than that depending on the plane you do run, but the other event is also going to be insanely long called the Staggering Blue. Now, similar to the Airwalker event, this one is also going to be well over 4 minutes as well. Now, I have to admit, guys, when doing the longer events and grinding out the airplanes for hours on end, I really did not find these longer races to be that fun, and the reason for that is probably going to come down to the amount of time it actually takes to do them. Sure, you might actually get more parts from them, but most of the time when grinding out these longer events, I barely even got gold parts after 4.5 minutes. Now, one of the other events, I honestly did not do this one that much, but the Red Winds is also going to be quicker, especially compared to the other two being well over 4 minutes. This one's actually around 2.5. So at least it is going to be a quicker alternative if you guys are looking for like a break. I do understand going after max part sets, doing one event for hours is probably not going to be the funnest experience possible. Now, my favorite event to grind out the planes is going to be the last event in the Ocean and Sky playlist. It is going to be the Skyline ride, basically located inside the Oahu airport. Do keep in mind, by the way, guys, it's not going to be the fastest event you can do. Funnily enough, the Red Winds is actually going to be a bit quicker, but for some odd reason though, I really love the route on the Skyline ride. Like, not only is it going to be very simple to do, but you can also get this one done in around 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, I do know it obviously says 1 minute and 55 on here, but do keep in mind that's going to have to do it like the actual timer thing you get from hitting every checkpoint perfectly, so it takes like 36 off or something like that. I actually think it's like 33, but Regardless though, I was basically grinding out this event for hours on end. I also have to admit something, I basically grinded this event 95% of the time. Like, I basically never did like the staggering blue or the airwalker. I also rarely did the rare wins either, so I basically only did this one. And I still managed to get a full loot digger set and also a chemist. And of course I also managed to get a scorebreaker set as well by doing the exact same event. Now I have to admit though guys, doing the exact same race probably for hours on end is most likely not going to be the most fun experience, but for some odd reason though I had really decent RNG overall with this one. Now do keep in mind though, with it being around 2 minutes and 40 seconds, that is going to mean a lot less parts than like the airwalker because it is obviously over like a minute and 30 seconds less. But I have to admit though guys, yeah, this race might be shorter. I really do feel like doing a race around 2 minutes and 30 seconds twice is obviously going to be a total of 5 minutes, almost equaling one of the longer events. So technically you actually get more parts over time by doing a quicker event, but I would say guys, doing a faster race is sometimes the best option. That is also probably why so many people actually grind out the Hummer E Express. That one is going to be one of the quickest races to actually grind out most of the classes with. So I would say doing something like that with a plane is probably not the worst idea either. Now I would say most people probably do not even have a maxed out plane yet, which I really can't blame you. Grinding these out is probably not going to be the funnest time possible. And also doing the exact same event 4 hours on end is probably not the best experience, but I do look at this though guys, having a great part build for that said class though is going to be awesome for the future of summits. Like, you don't even have to touch them again once you actually get these said sets done, and that way you can actually experiment with different builds on that said category. Overall though, I have to admit, maxing out the planes for me was definitely not the worst experience I actually had though. I would probably say the Demolition Derby is by far the worst I had, which I will touch more of that on a future video coming up here soon, but if you guys have any questions at all regarding maxing out these planes, definitely let me know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more insight.